This is a horror game podcast. It is meant for mature audiences. It may contain adult language, violence, and sexual themes, as well as shocking revelations. Viewer discretion is advised. Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where tonight my friends and I will be playing the Mothership role-playing game. I'm your host, Thom Raley. The scenario is called The Rapacity of Man. I use the procedurals on the inside of the Warden's Manual to give me inspiration, and I am the Warden. This is a one-shot. Before we begin, I do want to mention that we get most of our funding through our Patreon site. Your generous support helps us to pay for our websites, our club space, and everything that goes into it. It's your support that keeps us going, and we deeply appreciate it. So without any further delay, let's begin our journey into the darkness. One would hope that over the millennia, humankind would grow responsible for their environment, and to some extent it has. But man also has an innate survival instinct that makes him opportunistic and adaptable. Those with the aggression to survive are the same ones who recklessly go to meet danger, hoping that in the end they will come out ahead. The year is 2412, and the planet, the as yet unnamed Ross 248D, currently has no colloquial name. Its ecosystem is vast. Scientists are dotted over the surface making discoveries. Entrepreneurs are opening rest stops and bed and breakfasts, all in an attempt to make money. Opportunities abound, and there are no pesky regulations as yet to get in the way. In many ways, it's like the Old West. A small 6-man convertible hovercraft races along the edge of an unnamed forest jungle on an unnamed continent near an unnamed sea. Their ship keeps track of the terrain since there are no surveys or maps yet. In the old days, we might call them adventurous explorers, but nowadays they are more akin to just wilderness campers. They haven't told anyone where they're going, not because it's a secret, but because you can't say what doesn't have a name yet. The hovercraft sets down in a soft green clearing, the sound of alien insects drumming in the air, the temperature moderate, the air sweet. Companions, we have safely set down at a suitable campsite. I will remain on standby. Your exploration can begin.
Why, thank you, Vera.
My pleasure, Dale. What would you guys like to do? I would suggest you unpack.
Yes.
Yes.
What time is it?
Well, we'll say 11:30 a.m.
Okay. Earth time. Yes.
You left
All right.
early, but you're traveling. Yeah.
All right.
Well, I'm going to get our mobile habitation unit set up over here. Did anybody see anything flying in that we could go check out?
No.
You are on the edge of a dense forest. Where you are currently, there is grass, there is small blue scintillating flowers here and there, insect noises, and maybe 2 or 3 miles behind you is the ocean.
Butler, should we do
Beautiful.
a quick sweep around?
Seems as good a place as any to stop. Vera, is there any reason why we're stopping in this place in particular?
I would have difficulty flying through the forest itself. The trees are rather close together. I figured the edge would be quite good.
I see. Okay. So maybe set up our base camp here, and then we'll do excursions into the forest. Okay. All right.
Maybe do a
I'll
little
help
bit of
out with
scouting.
the setting up the camp.
The camp's fairly simple to set up. You can describe what it looks like if you want.
So the hab is like I'll say it's like a pretty big dome that kind of folds out. But when you go inside, it's sectioned off into like smaller tent segments with like a communal center.
Yeah.
Almost
And it came in a package like this.
Yeah,
Great.
small one.
Dr.
Yeah, and
Devoku is
Otto.
Dr.
I'm
Devoku
moving
is
storage.
flowers. One of the blue flowers that came in. He's going to kind of look at it and smell it, and not in an appreciative sense, but more of an analysis sort of.
Yeah, it's rather got an interesting structure to it. You've noticed that a large portion of the flowers on the planet seem to have 7 petals. On Earth, they usually have 5 or 3. Here, they seem to have 7. They do have odors. The odors are sweet, almost lavender smelling, maybe lavender with a hint of cinnamon. There are other smells as well, smells of forest, smells of decay, as well as, growth like you would expect in an ecosystem. You can hear distantly water trickling, probably a small stream.
Oh, Doc, just be careful sniffing random stuff, please.
Yeah, you never know what the flora holds around here. I've heard of people getting paralyzed by different types of pollen that show up. You ever seen those flowers before, Doc?
I have heard of them. This flower smells in the range of what we've seen so far on this planet. I'm curious of what else might be out there. Sort of like the Amazon.
You hear in the undergrowth all sorts of sounds of insects, maybe small animals that make chirping noises or droning noises. You get the very distinct feeling that it's teeming with life here. So between you and the sea, there are mostly fields. There are patches of these blue flowers, and you can see off in the distance other colors as well of flowers. There are also in the distance slightly rolling hills that you see leading off into the distance towards the ocean. And there are dark spots on them in the distance that seem to be moving. You probably some sort of cow-like animal that's out there grazing on the plants. There are flying things in the sky high up. Some of them looking almost like Chinese kites with long tails that bob and weave through the air. The sky is mostly clear with a few light clouds here and there. And its color is almost earth blue, but you can tell there's a difference, kind of a turquoise color to the sky, which you're all getting used to, having lived in Port Nineveh for a while. But it's very comfortable. There's not too much humidity. And there's a lot more noises coming from the forest behind you or ahead of you.
This is
Nice
fascinating.
change of venue from the corporate campus, Ab?
Well, you know what they say, ripe for exploration. I'm going to attempt to mount the tent, but then I will be distracted by the local fauna, and I want to inspect the cow-like creature if it can produce milk or any kind of surrogate for milk for dairy products.
It would take you maybe 10 minutes to walk over to where those creatures are, if that's what you want to do. So you guys all see Ebenezer, after he finishes popping up the tent, he turns around and starts wandering towards the distant creatures that are walking about.
Before he wanders off too far, it's Eb, be careful with those things. We don't know how they act, and just try to use your most cautious subroutines, please. We don't want another repeat of the Harlington Docks incident. Um, if you have any trouble, just give me a ring. I'll be over there. But uh, I gotta finish, searching out the area. Me and Adara are gonna make sure there's, no ravenous insect hives waiting to pick our flesh apart in the sleep, or pull the insulation from your wires. So be
I
careful.
happen to like my flesh, so thank you.
Yeah, I'm hoping there isn't anything like that, but let's just have a look and yeah, take care.
So Eb's going on his own. The rest of you are looking around. It does seem like pretty much everywhere you go or look, there's something new and unusual. Lots and lots of camouflage creatures. As you approach a tree, it just looks like kind of an alien, weird tree bark. But then all of a sudden, as you get too close, pieces of the bark suddenly peel away and fly off like some sort of insect that was mimicking the bark. Um, you notice odd multi-headed caterpillars on some of the plants that are munching away. In many ways, it does remind you of some of the things that are on Earth, just weirder.
Everyone be
Go ahead.
careful. Everyone be careful because if these smaller creatures could evolve these camouflage systems, who knows what larger things might happen as well.
So Eb, as
It's
you're
true.
walking along, you clear the top of one hill and start down the side, and you start up the next hill where some of these creatures are. Well, you analyze that their eyesight may be very, very limited. They at first you don't even see eyes, but then you realize they do seem to have a kind of a very small head, and it's on one end of it. Their shape is really more teardrop shape, and their is very close to the ground. They seem to have some sort of proboscis that comes out of their little head and goes into the earth, almost as if they were planted. But when you get within 20 feet or so, um, what is that, like 15 meters or so, we'll say, um, you notice a few of them stop what they're doing and they retract this thing from the ground and they sort of turn to face you. Their little heads and their big bodies, um, about the size of cows. They remind you of, well, the best image I could say is like ticks. They look like big ticks without all of the legs. Um, a few of them take a few steps in your direction. They're not charging, they're just curious and we're walking. And when they get within 5 feet of you, um, they sort of rear up their head, and this proboscis of theirs suddenly shoots out like an arm. It splits into multiple fingers, and it wraps itself around you. Um, but as it does this, you can raise your stress by one. As it does this, it's sort of doing this all over you, as if to make sure of what you are. And then one of them will retract, and another one will do it. and they seem to be feeling you all over to see what you are. What do you want to do?
Wow there, friendly cattle. I mean, friend. I am friend. I am Ip, and I will attempt to pat them with my free hand or something, like gently on the head. No violence. Try to make a genuine connection with this foreign alien life form.
They seem at first a bit frightened when you reach towards them. Frightened, though, like a cow or a horse would be, but it doesn't sense that you're threatening them.
Oh, yeah. No.
So eventually, they almost seem to just lose notice or lose interest in you. They stop probing you, and they stand there staring at you and allowing you to sort of touch them. They are covered in a kind of bristly fur. Seems thicker than just hair. Uh, and then they lose interest in you altogether and just start wandering away.
Before I want to return to the others to tell them of my discovery, can I rummage a little bit around where they eaten to see what they were eaten, like insectoid life forms or anything? Try to see what they like to eat.
Yeah, you don't seem to see that they are eating any of the plants. They seem to be boring into the ground below. And you're not sure how deep they're boring, but they certainly could easily bore, 3 or 4 meters down with those proboscis of theirs. So they seem to be getting something from under the ground.
Yeah, tiptoe back. Two things. Butler, next time, slap me on the wrist like you humans do when I want to explore more. And Doc, I think we might have found a great new scientific discovery. Big, bovine-like creatures with proboscis and tongues that split into multiple points. You might be interested in them.
That does sound interesting. Maybe we can dig down and see what they're eating.
Must be pretty deep.
Never heard of anything like that before. It must just be local to this area. Did it try to attack you or like poison you or anything? I mean, I don't know if like androids can get poisoned, but
that's a good question. I think because I am made of plasticsteel, they kind of lost interest very fast in me. I would recommend care for all of you meatbags. I mean friends, when you come near them.
Yeah, they didn't allow any of your kind on my work cruise, so I don't know what y'all are capable of. Well, I'll keep my eye on you.
Your impression was definitely that they were probing you to see what you were made of, but they might have been looking for ways to get in. You don't have any. You're hermetically sealed to keep your internal parts clean and functioning. But that might not be the case of a human.
Hey, Dara and Butler, make sure you take care of any of those things if you see them, if they get too close. I don't want any of that stuff getting too close to me.
I think we just take a precaution. If they get too feely, then we'll deal with them. But if they're just coming by to graze or whatever, we let them be.
Hope y'all brought the flamethrowers.
No, because if we used them out here, we would end up setting fire to the entire forest and forest area.
It's wet here. It's fine.
It is pretty wet. Yeah.
I still don't trust it. Don't trust.
Well, it's taken you about 3.5 hours to get out this far. You've set up your camp. you've been sitting down in the convertible for that time, so you're kind of, wanting to get out and
Mhm.
stretch your legs. You're not particularly tired. You might be a little hungry. What do you guys want to do? Butler, Ebb has returned, so he's back with you.
Well, Adara and I are just kind of doing the rounds, looking for signs. I mean, in particular, since we're camping, like any signs of like burrowing insects or creatures that are in the area that might be a problem when the sun goes down. Signs of any like large scale human habit or not human, animal habitation. Like even though the hover car can't make it, like when often animals will have like a trail that they kind of beat a path through on their own. So like signs of animal trails that have suspiciously carnivorous dung in them, anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Animal spore is usually a pretty good way to at least start to identify some of the strange things.
Yeah. As I'm
Yeah.
walking along, I'm kind of alternately like uh 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 talking to Adara about the jungle training I got sent through and some of the horror stories that we have in our book, and then like occasionally just hinting at much more personal horror stories.
That's super cool. But as I am placing down some the, um like sensor beacons that we'll place so that just so we have a little border around our camp, and then it will hopefully trigger if something comes past them, and we'll be alerted that there's at least something within our vicinity if anyone is sleeping or we are chilling.
Dr. DeBoku is sort of setting up a home, like a camp-based lab. He's got his, detectors for like, different chemical compounds to identify. And he has a whole bunch of sample jars that he brought with him if he wanted to take things back to a bigger facility. He's also has a little, like, like a typical pad where he's looking. And I don't know the skills that others have in chemistry or anything, but if they did take a look, they would see that he's looking at things like human neurotransmitters and human receptors for those and different things, and looking, different chemicals going in and things. Because, I mean, he's looking to see what sort of drugs might be there, and not just making great medicinal discoveries in new medicines. He's looking for drugs he can sell to people who like to do drugs. So
The you do find almost immediately that 98% of anything that you encounter, you've never seen anything like it before. It'll take time and research to decide what these sort of things can do. But yeah, life on this planet is not like life on Earth. So it doesn't really even have DNA. Everything here is unexplored. Uh, there's not even taxonomy for any of these, which means that you guys can name things whatever you want. They'll have colloquial names, and then they'll slowly have taxonomical names. Uh, but like so many taxonomists before you, everything ends up with Lowii or fuchsia or whatever, because that was the guy's name who found the species.
Well, how long does it take to get info back to the head encyclopedia or whatever, where all the taxonomy gets updated?
The scientific
The
hub
university
is
system.
the scientific hub has been established on this planet.
Okay.
And probably they would say everything feeds back into them if you want it to,
Yeah.
and that someday they will, make up all of the taxonomy and stuff. But that's the way it works for them.
Well,
Doc,
Doc, you may want to classify away because I'm not sure how much longer any of this stuff's going to be around. My experience, the next 30 years, this place is going to be covered in industrial equipment and houses.
I'm sure it will be. I just want to see what I like to look at the similarities in chemistry, especially neurochemistry,
yeah. Doc,
between different planets that are out there that have life, just to see how they interact with, you know, they would interact with our processes. See if there's
that's,
any.
that's fair. Doc, I, I see what you're doing. I know a little bit of chemistry, and I see what you got going on there. I got a question. You might did you in your field? Did you ever work? I think you might have worked with my father, Dr. Akihito Takahashi.
I know his name well.
Yeah, no, yeah. Sadly, he passed a couple years back, but yeah, I saw your name on some of his research notes, so that's why I actually was like, oh, I will tag along.
I am so sorry to hear of your father's passing, Adara. A
It's
good man.
okay. It's
You
okay.
hear suddenly behind you in the forest what sounds like a uh, high frequency cracking sort of noise, like wood being splintered. And there's a crash off in the distance. And I mean, if you were to put a sound to it, like a tree branch crashing to the ground, it startles you because it's the loudest thing. It's not particularly loud, but it's the loudest thing that you've heard in the last few moments. And
What
there's a
the?
kind of follow-up crunching, crunching in the underbrush way off in the distance. But it's hazy in the forest. You don't see very far, and there's lots of trees.
What the hell is that?
Guns, maybe a good
Uh,
idea to bring the
if
guns over this way.
if someone gets over in the vicinity, it should trigger. So
Hmm.
just
Well, how big is your perimeter?
I've probably set. I don't know. Between me and but depends on between me and Butler how far we went out. It's depending on how far we set the perimeter.
Say
Probably at
50 feet.
least
Hmm.
like 100 yards into the forest and further on the plains.
Okay. Um, and you guys are on the plains. You're not actually in the forest yet. You're
Mhm.
Yeah.
you're set up.
Well, it
All right.
seems like a good time as ever to bring this sucker out, and I'll haul like a big box off the convertible, flip it open, and you can see a drone, but it's been painted with like kind of racing stuff, a little number and like checker and stuff like that. And I'll turn it on and pull out a nice little controller and get it going, and it takes up. And I said, well, I was gonna race through the trees anyway, so why not? And I'll shoot it off towards where I think the sound was.
You perhaps use Vera to project a 3D image
Mm-hmm.
so that you can see what it sees. All right, you see it racing through the woods. The woods get fairly dark once you get into them. They also get much taller. You think that at its trees have easily been recorded at 300 feet high, 100 meters high. Um, it's strippier, it's wetter, it's beautiful, it's green, there's flowers, there's things around. You start to hone in on where you think you heard the sound coming from. And indeed, there are large branches that seem to have been sheared off of the tree, a couple of the trees. They lay in a pile on the ground, and there are large, sinuous, almost snake-like um, things, caterpillars, but much, much larger, like the size of like the size of a sofa, say. And they have pretty strong looking mandibles in the front, and they are tearing the leaves and smaller branches off of the tree and consuming them. They don't look like they could move very fast, but they do look like maybe they ate through the branch and it dropped with them on it. There might be more up above. In fact, if you fly up into the tree canopy, you do see others of these things in there.
Well, would you look at that? Seems like we interrupted early lunch.
They're brightly colored. They're mostly green, but they're also got strange spots and colors and maybe little luminous bits on them.
Well, from my data banks, that indicates that they probably are poisonous.
It seems to be that they're only eating the plant matter, though. Maybe they're herbivores, and we can just let them continue eating. Perhaps
still wouldn't want to come across one for sure.
It doesn't look like it. Can I tell from the hologram, like, if they're only eating branches, as far as I can tell, and not like other animals, or
they only seem to be eating the plants that they're on, the trees that they're on. I mean, you wouldn't want to stick your hand in their mouth because those cutters are snapping branches off without much difficulty.
And I'm like zoomed in on one.
Yeah, we're in a clearing, right? So there's no like
you're on the edge of the forest. So this side is down to the ocean. It's mostly grass, and this side is the forest.
Okay. I don't know. Let's keep an eye on it.
Remember, Mr. Reisman, that even the gentlest looking herbivores have to defend themselves at times. So we should all be very careful.
Yes, very, very careful. But that's why me and Butler are here, I guess.
Yep.
So Dale, for navigation purposes, it's much easier to just fly the drone up out of the top of the canopy of the trees and then fly it over and come down. As it gets to the top of the canopy and sort of does a quick turn as it's going, you can see that about maybe a mile or two in the direction into the forest, there is another clearing. Looks like there's a river maybe, and a geological structure that on Earth you would have called it like a tepui. It's a place where the ground just rises almost straight up out of the ground, and it's almost flat on top, but there's water, pouring down. Looks quite spectacular for the split second that you see it in the video, and now the drone is flying back towards your direction.
Well, did y'all see that? Maybe that's worth checking out.
It's as good as any. I didn't see any. I'm not like a geologist, but I'm looking for like rock formations and things like that. That seems to be probably the biggest geologic feature.
You think about, well, there are mountains. The planet has every kind of feature.
Yeah.
But the South American jungles do have these tepuis that are just volcanic rock that have formed, big giant things, and plants have grown all over them. And they're spectacular to see. I think Angel Falls is falling off of one of those on Earth. You do think back to that article that you read about the bed and breakfast. They found one of the most idyllic spots with waterfalls and everything, and now they're making money hand over fist because newlyweds want to go there, and it's the Niagara Falls of. So Beautiful Places is also a nice thing that you can find here that make money off of. Whoever owns it is going to make money.
Locations like that often have interesting microcosms based around them, especially if there might be a little volcanic activity or former volcanic. It takes on different characteristics of the general that you see around it. It's a special environment. It's definitely worth checking out.
Now, you can probably walk there. It's, like I say, probably a mile and a half.
Hmm.
Uh,
What time would it be right now? Are we in late afternoon?
no, you're still in about 11 a.m.
Okay.
We'll say you left about 8 in the morning
Should we have
from Port Nineveh.
should we have lunch, folks, and maybe head out there after?
Yes, that sounds like a good idea. And I'll start getting out the lunch fixins for everyone. We can pack out.
So you have a delicious lunch. Um, Everything comes in tiny little packets and they expand into full feasts. All right, so you've all had your fill. You've had some to drink. Uh, I don't know if you guys drink alcohol, but you probably, you guys are buddies. You probably brought some. Uh, all right, so you get your gear together, and you are going to take a careful walk through the forest. As you go, Dr. Daboku, I mean, it's almost, you're like a kid in a candy store because everything you're looking at is new. You see lots and lots of things that indicate symbiosis between things, plants and animals that seem to be working together, animals that are working with other animals, animals that seem to be working with fungi. You're not even sure if animal, fungi, and plant really apply to half these things or how they're related to one another. For all you know, that rat-like creature and that flower might be related to one another. You just don't know. So it's fascinating.
Question about the kind of like the path from what we saw from the drone. Does it look like we're probably going to have to pass through the feeding area of those like mega caterpillars?
We'll say that you can if you want to, but you can also avoid them.
Okay.
They're
Then
only where the
before we
broken
hang out,
branches are.
I'm before we head out, I'm gonna like get out the like in case of emergency military gear crate and go. I'd rather not shoot a bunch of innocent herbivores to pieces. Do we think we can avoid them and be safe?
Well, I think we should avoid them and not disturb them until we know more about them, but it's always good to be prepared.
Okay. And
There's,
then, yeah.
there's also one universal truth. It's like you've never encountered a single thing anywhere that was immune to fire.
Yeah.
So animals can burn, fire can burn things. Things don't like to get burned. So even a small repair torch would probably be enough to fight something off, unless it trampled you to death,
Yeah.
That's the worry, especially because we're going to, it was near a river, right? So,
Right. We just take our normal weapons. I have all my gear anyway.
Well, I kind of have hatchet and general purpose squad machine gun. Kind of, I didn't really pack much in between.
You were not prepared, my friend.
I mean, listen, it's possible to sometimes be simultaneously way over and way under prepared. This happens to be one of those situations, but I can put on the suit. I can lug the machine gun out there, but it's going to be a schlep. So we're just uh, fuck it. I may as well get started. If you guys want to start, it's going to take me like 5 or 10 minutes to get all my gear uncrated and ready, and I'll catch up to you all.
Well, right. While we were eating, I already have my rifle, my shotgun, and my machete, or vibe machete as they're called here.
Abby's going to stay behind to help Butler, mainly because he's even more unprepared than everyone else.
Well, I mean, I think we're all just kind of getting ready and, eating, the civvies over here, are, just getting their basic equipment. I have my shovel. I'll bring, just sort of basic
Yeah.
wilderness stuff.
You're going for a
Yeah.
hike.
Yeah, I'm going for a hike. I'm just looking for like geologic features, mineral features, things that I know that are going to be like useful, for like the coming of the colonies or whatever. So yeah, he's just kind of single-minded with around that.
You're after those mineral rights, huh? I see what your play is. Okay.
Hey, a lot of gold, a lot of minerals out there, right? Be useful. So I'm laying my claim.
My
Gold
interest.
remains a valuable metal because it can be used in electronics very
Right.
effectively.
Conductor,
So even though it might be more in abundance now than it was before, it's still valuable. Yeah, because of its nature. Um, all right. So uh, Butler and Ebb, why don't you make a speed roll, our first roll of the night? Um,
This is after we've all gotten ready and suited up and everything.
yeah, well, you were sort of letting them go ahead of
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
This is going to be
I'm.
like to catch up with them.
Oh wow. Freaking.
Figures.
Oh, wait, that's wrong dice. That's
Yeah, 100-sided dice.
45. Okay. That is a fail.
Okay, apparently Ebenezer is not helping you very well. He's maybe loading you with too much of your gear, and you're realizing that tromping through the forest and there's no path going over tree roots and stuff like that, some of this armor might actually be hindering you. This is not a foreshadowing. This is just the fact that it would be difficult. It'd be difficult just with regular shoes. You got to be careful you don't sprain your ankle and stuff. But Ebenezer is second guessing you, and
Yeah, listen, man, they never have enough of this. More bullets, more combustible.
well, decked out in the combat armor, I actually have like a penalty to speed and a bonus to strength. And after a while, like after I like untangle my leg for the 10th time, I'm like, okay, it's time to go native. And I get the machete out and I just begin to brute force my way through the jungle.
yeah,
Well,
and that's not too hard to do. Meanwhile, the others, and they've kind of blazed a little bit of a path for you.
yeah, because
Uh,
I've been vibe shettying
you are
all
you are
lead.
wending your way in between the trees. Um, try not to do too much damage, but the undergrowth is pretty dense in places. After 10 minutes or so, you start to realize you are coming to that place where the giant caterpillar things were. Um, you can see them. They have uh, like glowing um, turquoise colored eye spots all along their body. They are still munching away. There is at least one of them that is finished, and he is climbing his way back up a nearby tree, up into the canopy. You look up, and in the shade up above you, which is pretty dark, um, you can see a lot of these little blue twinkly lights from these other caterpillars. Must be a whole nest of them up there in the trees.
I would
Uh,
like to get a sample of one of those glowing eyes just to see what sort of molecule is responsible for the luminescence.
you want to try to approach one of these large creatures?
There's the one still eating on the ground.
Yeah, there's one still eating there. Um,
Doc, be very careful.
it's as you slowly, carefully make your way towards it, its mouth parts are crunching like this. Um, do what do we have on there like stealth? I don't have one open at the moment. Where is my
Maybe just
Intellect,
speed or intellect.
collector speed, yeah.
Yeah, let's do we'll make it a speed roll.
If I succeed, I'm trying not to be too speedy. I'm just approaching carefully.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Let's make it a body roll because it's your body that you're
Oh, okay.
very carefully trying to control.
That is, oh, I thought it was a 99, which would have been bad. It's a 69, so that is a fail.
Okay.
69.
Nice.
You're moving slowly, but your foot comes down on a little bit of tree branch that makes a cracking noise. And when it does, this creature, which was sort of gently undulating as it was eating, its mouth parts freeze and it stops moving as if it's trying to blend in so that it won't be seen. You know, it's like a safety mechanism. But you're still maybe 3 or 4 feet from it, a meter or so. You can see that the eyes are just sort of patches on its skin that are glowing this turquoise, like some sort of bioluminescence.
Hmm.
Excuse me. What do you want to do?
Doc, take it steady.
Looking at it. I have
It gives you the feeling that it's staring
bioscan.
at you, but I'm sorry. It,
I
it
have
it does give you the feeling like it's staring at you, but you're not even sure if that's an eye.
yeah. I do have a bioscanner in my equipment.
Okay.
Um, I'm wondering if I could take a reading to get some sort of
You hold
not sure
out
what
your little
chemical,
bioscanner.
if I can
Okay.
see if I determine what the chemical makeup of the thing is from the bioscan. I don't know if I can do that
Okay. Um,
without having to injure the thing.
I would like you to roll an intellect roll.
Okay. 27, that's a success. 27 over 51.
Okay. You start to get, sorry, you start to get indicators of elements that have, it's the same substances that would go into like sapphires, uh, the mineral sapphire.
Ah,
You detect that it's in a crystalline structure you don't quite understand. It's maybe it's a biological process that grows this. You're not exactly sure what's causing the luminescence. But I'd also like you to do a speed roll.
yeah, I gotta get out of here. That is a 79. That is over 35. That is a fail.
So the rest of you are watching. By now, Butler and Ebb have caught up to you. You see Dr. Deboku up within inches now of this creature. The creature, imagine, like I say, like the end of a sofa, although it's probably only about this big around. It's been holding completely still. And as his little bioscanner is scanning, there's this high-pitched noise coming from the scanner that's normal, kind of a, like that. The creature suddenly jerks to the side in response and hits you, Dr. Deboku. Um, knocking you, across the path. You probably land on your ass and your back. Um, you can roll no, you can roll a body roll to see if you actually take any hit points of damage.
I
18 under 27. So
Okay, so you're not really hurt. Your ego is mostly hurt. And the thing has frozen again. So it slashed to the side, and now it's standing still again, hoping its enemy will go away.
I'm sensing that natural sense that you have that this thing just wants me to go away, so I'm going to back away. I think I have what I need from the scanner for now.
Are you okay, Doc?
You also find that every time you take a step and there's a little crunch, the thing jerks a little,
yeah,
like an insect or a caterpillar might do.
Yeah. But I'm backing away, so hopefully it's really getting away from it.
If I may, I want to grab a rock and throw it opposite to us and to the good doctor to make this thing turn around with its back towards us. Does it react in any way?
When you throw the rock and it makes a noise, it does react, but it doesn't really turn. It's trying to not be noticed, but it is having a jerky reaction to the sound because it feels like it's threatened. And it keeps stopping. It keeps going into a freeze position. You imagine that if you just don't do anything for 10 minutes, then it'll probably go back to eating or go up the tree to get away.
Should we see if we should find a better path around?
We should be able to just get around them. We have to cut a bit of bush, but
I mean, that thing knocked the doctor flat on his ass. Look at it.
Just stay close to me, and if one comes, I'll just knock it out. I'm not going to use the sharp end. But I don't want to harm it. It doesn't seem like it actually wants to harm us.
Whatever you say.
Everything wants to kill you out here. That's one of the first things you'll learn on a tropical foreign planet like this. Been on a couple of them. Everything tries to kill you out here.
You gotta give things the benefit of the doubt, Eldred, because you can't just go around killing everything. I know I'm a Marine and I go around killing a lot of things, but violence doesn't solve every issue.
What the hell kind of Marine is this? Jeez. Ain't never seen a Marine that doesn't want to blow anything to bits.
I had a very philosophical upbringing, so.
You go on.
Good for you.
You go on avoiding the things. You only have to stay 10 or 15 feet away from them. And eventually your caterpillar buddy back there starts to go back to eating. You make your way through the forest and you begin to see more sunlight up ahead. Eventually, the trees sort of part and you see what you were looking for. So you come to a place, you see rivulets of water, and you see this structure sort of reaching up out of the forest, up into the sky. It's gorgeous.
I like my silhouettes.
Oh my transistors. Can you imagine a hotel up there? That would be amazing.
A hotel?
Well, that's beautiful.
I mean, that bed and breakfast seems to be making a tidy profit. Tourism might be a better financial gain here. So you're gonna have to get in before Torco comes in, or
We could make a
Or
whole,
the environmental protection.
Nadiz.
make a whole town up there. Maybe.
We definitely make a claim, gentlemen, on this.
I would like everybody to do intellect rolls.
I could set up a sushi restaurant up there.
69.
Somebody who wants to develop it for a very large profit, and entire profit, because we're just going to claim it.
I 27. I succeeded.
Fail.
78 over 50 on that.
Who succeeded? Anyone? Well, okay, great. Dale and Adara, you're standing there looking at the beautiful, thinking, yeah, bed and breakfast here might be something else, or a sushi restaurant up there. You notice in the shadow, about halfway up, there is a red blinking light.
Now, what in the heck is that?
What is that? I get my binoculars out.
You can see what looks like, at first it looks natural, like a little archway. But in the center of it, on the slab of rock, there are 6 little dots of red. The one in the middle's big, and the 5 around it are smaller, but they're definitely blinking, pulsating red. It does not look like something natural.
I think someone's already made a claim here.
Oh,
God
damn.
I'm gonna get out my survey drone or my salvage drone now and fly it up there, because it's like up towards the top of the
It's about halfway up in the picture.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna get out my. Well, let's see who it is. Maybe they haven't gotten the whole thing yet.
Well, it could be a native tribe. We don't actually know who lives on this planet. I don't know.
So, Eldred, as your probe flies up there and gets close, you definitely get the feeling. Well, it looks like it's made to look like a natural formation, but it really seems like it's too regular. It is definitely a little archway doorway with these 5 or 6 lights dead center, and they're pulsating, and it's obvious looking at the lights themselves that there is probably some form of glass there and some sort of metallic ring around the glass. The lights are glowing from inside, but the rest of it has been camouflaged to look like rock.
Okay. I'm looking to see if there's any logos, like any corporate logos in particular, if I recognize the type of window or type of lighting that they're using. Does it look familiar at all, like any type of design that I'd be familiar with?
Your drone analyzes the light, and it's definitely not LED, which is a certain frequency of red light. In this case, there's a spectrum to the light. From your eye, see mostly red. It doesn't seem incandescent. You're not sure what is causing the light, but there's definitely something inside, like a bulb, that is pulsing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you're pretty sure there's a seam all the way around, a door that can open. But you also notice that there are mosses and there are lichens and there are things growing on the rock surface. So it's been there a long time.
Is there a clear path to it? Like, can we walk up there? Is there like a cliff path?
It's possible that you could climb up to it, but there's not like an easy path for walking.
I see. Wonder if there's an entrance maybe a little bit closer down. It looks like a window of some sort. Much older. It's older than a decade, I'd say at this point. Like older than Port Nineveh.
Yeah, almost.
Could I guess? Okay, yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is really strange. Everything I heard was there was no corporate or any human contact on this planet before the Port Nineveh founders got here.
Was there any? So no one before 11 years ago was here.
Not
as far as we know
of.
No.
And how tall is the arch?
The arch itself seems to be about 7 or 8 feet tall, maybe
Okay.
2.5 meters.
The
Doorway.
It still could be like a primitive tribe that live here. They wouldn't know to communicate just because it's.
I don't know how primitive they are if they have lighting and some type of electrical source.
Some extinct species.
Perhaps.
While I like Miss Lee's theory, I propose that this is probably somebody that wanted to get away from the laws much earlier than Port Nivea. So it's probably a corpo. Me and Butler know all about how they do all of this loophole searching. This looks like a lab or something. I don't know.
Well, then there must be an entrance somewhere. So I'm gonna kind of pull out with the drone and have the drone start to kind of do like a scan of the rock face, see if there's any like entryway or.
I think that is the entryway.
Oh, that is the entryway, as far as I can tell. Okay.
Well, you fly around the tepui, you scan it, you look it over. It seems like a natural surface. You don't find any other entrance.
There's some kind of corp lab inside. They're gonna know we're here already. But I don't think we've seen any marker buoys or sensor networks or anything though. So I don't know. That doesn't quite add up.
I don't think this is corporal.
Yeah, there's nothing
makes you
about
say
it that
that?
feels corpy.
It doesn't feel like it. I've on a lot of the colonies I've been on, and where there have been a lot of tribal people, and this is the kind of stuff they would do, a native or someone trying to escape. This isn't a corporate thing. This isn't espionage. This isn't spyware or anything like that. This isn't.
You're saying this is like feral first generation colonists or something?
Could be that, or it could be someone who's a species of humanoid or non-humanoid that
indigenous
tribal. Yeah, exactly.
We're doing what we are doing now on another planet, or perhaps for some sentient race species founded before we did and left us here. I mean, there's only one way to find out what is in there.
Who's going knocking?
I mean, I can knock. Doc, is there any history? Has anybody found any like non-human life on this planet? Sapient life on the planet?
There's been none to date. I mean, the other possibility is that it had been found even before the traditional date of 11 years ago. It just never was reported or kept secret.
We'll say
like anyone's been here in a while to maintenance it or anything.
We'll make up some of the details. We'll say that Port Nineveh was founded 11 years ago, but the planet wasn't discovered until just about 15 years ago. So it's just too far away from Earth. It was found by accident, and it took years before they could get a team of people here to start a city.
And most
when I got here, there was nothing. It was completely untouched. There's no claims on it whatsoever. It was pure chance that they stumbled upon it. One of the corporate survey drones caught it.
And the surveys won't be accurate because there's so much land and unexplored.
Yeah, no. This is no. I was saying this is a galactic survey discovered this planet. So no one's actually been on the planet before Port Nineveh. That's what I'm saying.
If I asked Vera to search for any claims on this, that would probably reconnect us to Port Nineveh, or no? Would she have that
She wouldn't have those records on board. She says, I would have to connect to Central. Do you want me to connect to Central?
No, don't do
Yeah,
it.
let's check this out before we start talking
Okay.
over official channels.
Well, just in case it is some kind of crazy first gen hermit who, ran off and built themselves a little shack out in the middle of nowhere and booby trapped the front with claymores or something. I'll go up, I'll check, and
I'll
just
be with you. I'm good with traps. I'm a bit of a jerk, rigger, so
Lights
but go ahead.
Adara look like any sort of a security system you may be aware of?
I wouldn't be able to know without actually getting up there and having a look.
I'm already starting to kind of think of okay, with what do I have on hand? Can I create some type of anti-grav harness thing to get us up? I just want to avoid any physical activity so far.
Eldred, do intelligence roll.
Okay.
Eldred, I was planning on roping it up, getting the power cords up.
You passed.
I passed.
Vera can easily fly up and over the treetops and come over here to meet you. There is open sky where you are.
Okay. Okay, cool. I wasn't sure if she could come. So the hover boat essentially can come over to.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll call Vera over.
I'll zero in on your location. I'll be there in a few minutes.
Well, Butler, you won't have to break out your boot camp skills. Climb up there.
Yep. Well, fortunately, the suit's got all kinds of solenoid-assisted servos and stuff for getting me up there, but we'll see.
I'd happily free climbed up there.
Yeah,
well, you can see that it would be an interesting climb. It might not be that hard. It looks like there's lots of places to grab a hold.
I am glad you thought of that because I was fixing to start doing some squats over there to get ready for a climb, but this is much easier. Yeah.
Yes.
I still feel like
always use modern technology is what I say. It's there for a reason.
So after a short period of time, you hear the almost silent whir of gravity drive as Vera comes up and over the treetops and then slowly lowers down in front of you. There's not really a flat place for her to land, but she can hover a foot above the ground, which is easy enough to climb in. Okay. And think of it as climbing into a convertible.
Cool. And so, Butler, do you want to go up by yourself first, or should we all come with you? And then you can. Is there like a precipice essentially to kind of hop off on?
You can't really tell if there's anything more inside of the doorway, but it doesn't look like there's much.
But Butler's not going up there alone. If he's going up there, if we're sending him first, I'm going with him. So
I will also join you because if this is of human design, I might be able to actually interface with some of their systems should the necessity arise.
So Adara, Butler, and Ebb are going up, and the other three are waiting on the ground.
All right. Yep. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. Butler taking point, decked out in the advanced combat armor. He's got his old United Colonies flag patch has been marked out and replaced with a black and red anarcho-communist flag with a hammer and sickle over it.
What the hell? You old school Marines, man.
Big heavy machine gun just kind of latched to his back. He doesn't have that out for this.
All right. So your hovercraft takes off. You realize, of course, that to get there on foot, you would have to cross a small creek that's in between you and the Tapui. You, of course, fly above it. the something about the jungle. It's just gorgeous. But it's also a little scary. I think everybody should at least have one stress or have another stress.
Gonna
Butler,
have a
as
little
you
stress as a treat.
as your hovercraft approaches, as Vera approaches, you realize that she can't really get any closer to the doorway than maybe 7 feet without scraping on some of the other rocks and things that are around it. Um, the frame around the doorway, that it looks like rock, is only a few inches deep, and then the door itself is flat with this little cluster of 5 lights and then a big light in the middle, and you can see that they're glowing. Um, there doesn't seem to be a door. I mean, a doorknob or a button or anything around it, but definitely you can see that it's seamed around it. So it probably opens or slides or does something.
Maybe it's just a garage door, for flying in and out on a hover bike or something.
Well, why don't we just check? I can see if there's any like hidden mechanism or whatever. I'm used to making little random traps, so maybe it's something like that.
So how are you going to check? You're
Um,
2.5 meters away from the door itself. You can't get any closer unless you jump and grab a hold of the ledge. There'd be a possibility of falling backwards off the ledge.
Adara is a thrill seeker. She
I
would have
can tie a
happily
rope
free
around you.
should have happily free climbed, but
Mhm.
she will suggest, right, I'm gonna tie a rope, you hold will put it on, I'm gonna jump across.
All right.
And then you can cover me if anything goes wrong, Butler, if some mad lunatic comes.
So Adara, you let's call it combat, just because you're doing something dangerous.
Okay. I will add my athletics to this as well.
Oh yeah, athletics, yes.
31 out of 62, which is a success.
Cool. So you leap across and you land on the doorway, or you land on the ledge in the doorway. You've kind of got your hands like this to pressed up against the sides. As soon as you do that, the lights um, increase in speed for just a second, and you hear, you call it a beep or a very alien sounding "Wah, wah, wah," like that. And you hear the sound of grinding stone as the door sinks down into the ground. You can see a corridor just beyond it. Um, Looks like it's made of the same rock, but it is smooth as glass. So it's
Okay.
definitely been, it almost looks like it's been melted out of the rock.
Okay, I I'll get my shotgun ready in a second. But I'm gonna find something to tie my bit of rope to, so that then if Butler and Ebb want to come along, they at least have the rope to.
Remember, you guys are all connected, so you guys can talk to one another and say what's going on.
Oh, and then yeah, all of this. I probably kept it as open comm, so anything I said,
Now, why did you do a
everyone
thing
will.
like that? Why did you jump out like that? You scared me, and I'm all the
See,
way down here. What are you doing?
Dale, this is why Marines like Butler of the past because they're in their heavy things. They wouldn't be able to do this. I'm more of a free-flowing kind of person, so and I like to do crazy shit. So here we go.
She's nimble. And I have my survey drone. I'm kind of like following them behind. So I've got the little hologram.
If Butler and Eb join me, we can send Vera back down to get you guys.
Not if she's got the rope attached.
Well, we'll undo the rope.
Okay. Do you want to go farther in exploring, or do you want to wait for everyone to get there first?
What do you think? Coast clear?
I will take a quick gander in, but I'm not going. I've got my shotgun out with a flashlight on if it is really dark in there.
Okay. You've got your flashlight on. You can definitely see this corridor has been, I mean, you would say carved, but it doesn't look like carved. It looks like it's been melted. So it's perfectly smooth, almost like glass.
Like it's been laser cut?
Yeah. It's definitely not natural. And the corridor itself is not dead straight. It curves. So you can't really see. And it not only curves, but it seems to be slanted a little downward as it goes.
Well, if there's someone here, they definitely know we're here now because I triggered some sort of alarm, I guess. Or I don't know. We don't know what it is. It could just have been a sensor that opens it when someone goes up to it rather than actually triggering an alarm.
Well, we can wait for Eldred to get up here. And Eldred, whenever you do, just bring that drone.
I'm going to go up to where it curves, but I'm only just going to have a look around.
Well, I've got the drone is following behind them, so I'm still down there. But yeah, the drone is kind of like hovering behind you guys because I want to like watch on the holograms. If you want me to like scope the drone around first,
I'm gonna patch it into my armor's like HUD display so I can see what the drone sees, and to say go ahead and lead the way with it, Eldred. I'll bring up the rear behind it.
You guys are buying me a new one though.
Don't worry.
Alien laser blows it up.
You're basically right next to me. It's fine.
So Eldred, the drone, it sees that this very regular melted passageway goes around the corner. It continues to move downward, but very quickly it is pitch black.
I'll turn on the little
you turn on the lights and you can see that, I mean, it almost looks like you're going down into a much larger room, but it's very shadowy and you're not really seeing much. It doesn't look like a primitive whatever, like Adara is saying. Now, Adara, as you start moving in the same direction, there's a moment that you almost don't know what it is you're seeing. You've seen luminous insects and stuff in the forest, there are lots of things like fireflies and stuff like that, but there is kind of a red flicker that flickers in the passageway. It's not right where you are, but it's a few feet ahead of you. And as you step forward, it moves forward and flickers. It's not in the air, but you think there are little like fiber optic filaments in the walls that are sparkling suddenly. Doesn't provide much illumination, but it does kind of look fascinating as you are going along. What Butler and Ebenezer, you guys are still at the entrance. Before Adara goes around a corner, you also can see these little red flickering lights in the walls. It's almost like they're following or not following, but just preceding where Adara is. They sparkle where she's going towards. What do you guys want to do? Meanwhile, the hovercraft has now gone down to where Eldred and Grady and Dr. Deboku are. You guys can get in and start flying up.
I'd like to take a look at those fiber optic cables. Those look interesting. I've never seen a design like that before.
They're almost
I'm sorry, go ahead.
they're almost camouflaged, and they only seem to sparkle a few feet ahead of where Adara is. They don't seem to have any reaction at all to your drone.
Hmm.
Dr. DeBoco's just got to check in to ask because he's curious and anxious to get up there. And what are you seeing? Describe what you're seeing to us.
I describe everything I see. I describe in as much detail as I know the doc would want to hear. I'm used to detail-orientated people.
You feel it any different?
Not
at all.
I feel fine.
I want to follow Adara and see if the lights will follow me.
Okay. Ebenezer, as you step into the corridor and start moving, nothing happens.
I propose a theory that this technology is aware of biological or inorganic matter moving through the corridor.
I've got the suit. Maybe that make an interesting test, and I'll start stepping in deeper then.
Okay. Oh, Butler, once you've stepped a couple of feet into the corridor, these little red sparklies appear just a few feet ahead of you.
Well, whatever it is isn't doing any surface level checks.
Meanwhile, you have now pulled up next to the doorway yourselves, Deboku, Brooks, and Reisman. You still have a 7-foot jump across.
There's no one there now to reattach.
Yeah, I'll turn back when I hear the thing pulling back up again. Yeah, I'll back to the door and kind of reach my arm out to try to catch anybody that's trying to jump in.
Oh, God damn it. Okay. All right. I'll try and make the jump.
Yeah.
It helps if you shout yeehaw.
Okay.
I think you all have no trouble at all doing that. Adara, this ramp starts to level out, and Eldred as well with your little drone, you can see that the corridor opens into something, into a chamber of some sort. Adara, the little red sparkles, some of them were most of them were on the walls. They've moved to the floor, and they're almost like they're running ahead of you as you're walking.
Okay.
You step forward, and the little sparkles, they stop running forward. They're sparkling on the floor. They're fascinating looking, but they've stopped.
I just, with my flashlight anyway, just glance around.
Okay. You think you're in some kind of a chamber. It's still dark, but there are definitely things in here. You're not quite sure what to call them. Some of them look sort of like stalactites, stalagmites, things coming from the ceiling, things coming up from the ground, circles and triangles and things like that. Nothing really immediately recognizable.
What does it smell like in here?
It smells like nothing. And the circles, the little dots on the ground, are starting to almost make patterns like little wavy patterns on the ground.
Any recognizable patterns?
Well, circles and triangles and things like that. But to see them better, you have to kind of get right there where they are. And as you step forward to them and see them, they do seem to be somehow reacting to what you are doing, almost as if they are welcoming you into this place.
Dr. DeBocus wants to take his bioscanner and see if he can scan anything off that. But he's also going to compare the results he got to what he got when he scanned the eye of that, the blue eye of that caterpillar. I want to see if there's any similarities.
Well, you start to scan things in here, and there is a noticeable discrepancy that whatever is in here is not, it's made of various elements and things that are highly complex, and they don't seem to in any way be naturally complex. This is definitely some sort of thing that's been built or artificial, if by a civilization on this planet. I mean, it's highly advanced, whatever this stuff is. Adara, some of this rippling on the ground of these lights, they change colors. They begin to flicker in all sorts of different little rainbows, and there's almost almost a meaning to it. Like it wants to greet you. They're forming a kind of circle on the ground.
Okay. Well, first, actually, I'm going to speak just a couple of words to the weird set, but I'm actually going to put a mask on because I'm going to get closer and I don't want to risk if these things, I don't know, they might come up my nose or in my mouth, and
all right.
And then I'm just going to say hello, but I might also speak other languages. It's not going to help because they're alien, but I'm going to speak other languages because they might resonate with the tones of.
Okay. As you step forward and you approach these things, very quickly they suddenly form kind of like a solid ring on the floor, maybe 10 feet across, around the spot where you're standing. You suddenly find that you are in the center of the circle, and you hear this voice that says, like this. And all of the lights come on in this lab, which is what it now appears to be, but not a lab that was built for humans. There's all sorts of things that have suddenly blinked into life.
The hell?
And you seem to be hearing a very weird alien sort of language coming from nowhere, apparently.
Hello? Guys, you need to hurry. Eldred, you're seeing this, right?
Yeah. For you guys in the hallway, you now definitely notice there is light coming from down the passageway.
Yep, we're gonna head down.
Heading down.
Eldred, your probe sees all of this. And as it sort of is moving around and looking around, it attempts to cross the room near where Adara is, and it seems to encounter something in the air, um, almost like a membrane. And you very quickly realize that Adara, in that red circle on the floor, seems to be encased in a membrane. It is completely clear. It doesn't seem to have any thickness to it, uh, but it's like a bubble around Adara.
Uh, Adar, are you okay?
I'm fine.
It it looks like you're encased in something.
I think it's trying to communicate with me and wants. So I would suggest not. What I open comms. Don't approach me or do anything to what is around me. I think it doesn't mean any harm. It's just trying to tell me something.
Can I
So,
identify any equipment around, like any identifiable signs of technology or
yes.
okay.
Well, yes and no. You
Yeah.
think this room is filled with technology
Yeah.
of an alien nature, nothing like you've ever seen. You can assume that those are some sort of screens, maybe for projecting information on. Um, but it's not like everything is arranged in a nice, neat table, because whatever it is might not have even been the size of a human. Their fingers and arms might not have been anything like our fingers
Yeah.
and arms.
But it clearly looks like some type of like workshop or laboratory,
Yeah,
or
it looks like a
there's
laboratory,
like
an
a
alien
function
laboratory.
in this space. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And it looks like it's more extensive. It looks like there are corridors going off in different directions and things like that. How about the
Okay.
rest of you? Have you followed in?
Yeah, and of course,
Yeah,
Doc.
I will follow. And can we hear the weird alien language? Can we start here?
Yes. Yeah, you
Okay.
can hear it. You can hear it up ahead of you.
May I attempt, but this is a lengthy process. I kind of want to get started on trying to not decipher like a perfect translation because it would be impossible, but try to analyze this alien speech. See if I may be using my linguistics to kind of compose meaning, to give meaning to this thing somehow, very abstractly.
Well, let's do this. Do an intelligence roll.
Very
Do
well.
you have linguistics?
I do.
Okay. So linguistics roll with a linguist intelligence with linguistics.
That's a 49. Linguistics, it's a plus 10. 49 to my intellect. Yeah, that will be a pass. 49 out of 69.
Well, with an analysis, you're pretty sure you will not understand the language because it's completely alien, but it
Right.
most definitely has syntax.
A
There is
structure.
a limited number of vocalizations. Um, you don't have any idea what their alphabet would be like, but you can count at least 136 different
Sounds. Mhm.
vocalization sounds.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and it definitely has syntax to it, but you have no idea what it
Yeah, what
is.
it might be.
So you think that's a language, Ebenezer?
Yeah. Mr. Reisman, we probably are going to be famous. These are probably advanced sentient aliens that might have been here way before our time. You can kind of see the dollar signs in his eyes, in their eyes. I'm going to join Adara. I will attempt to join her.
You cannot. This bubble that's around Adara, um,
Yeah,
it's
but told you not.
it's as thin as a soap bubble, but you don't seem to be able to penetrate it. It's also pretty flexible. Like if Adara pushed on it, she could push out a bit, but the more she pushes, the more resistance there is. Um, Adara, to you, it feels almost perfectly smooth and wet, as if you could imagine you were inside of a soap bubble. But you can't get out of the red circle. You would
She's
just
not really
slide right back
sure.
in.
She's not really trying. She only reached out a hand really to
Right.
tell Ebb not to because I told you guys not to come near the circle.
They're able to come into the room and they can move around, but yeah, the circle has got you. And
That's
just
the
about that time, once again, you hear this alien voice like this, and these little holes appear above you, Adara, and some sort of what now look menacingly like medical instruments are lowering
Okay.
on mechanical arms from above. And there are definitely things that look like needles and cutters. And that's where we're going to go on our break, our bio break.
As my shotgun faces up.
The 5 minute bio break.
5 minutes later.
I would like everybody to do a stress roll, especially Adara. Adara, you can roll a 1d4 for stress.
Yeah, that's fine.
When you say a stress roll, Thom, do you refer to a panic check?
No, I mean, I'm sorry, not a stress roll. I'd like you to add one to your stress.
Okay.
But Adara can roll 1d4.
Okay, that's 4 stress.
Oof, yeah.
So every time I fail a roll, I've been adding to my stress. That's correct, right? Like every time you fail a roll, you add 1 stress.
Not necessarily. You just add stress if it's a stressful situation.
Oh, okay.
How much stress are you up to?
Well, I'm up to 7 with that, but some of those weren't stressful, so maybe -2, so maybe 5.
Okay.
Does that work
Yeah,
for
that
you?
makes sense. That's about where you guys all are.
I'm
And
just
of
at
course,
30.
if you feel stressed, you can always
Got
add
it nice and
stress to
easy so
yourself.
far.
Yeah. All right. So these instruments seem to be coming down through little holes in the ceiling, and they look rather menacing. Adara, what are you going to do?
Luckily, she had her shotgun out and not her. And so she is. They're coming. She's going to fire up.
Okay.
Yeah. Her ears are going to hurt afterwards.
Yeah. In fact, everybody who's in the room, the sound will be pretty much deafening.
I don't think
Adara,
any of us are, right? I think it's just Adara, right? Who's in the lab
I think
room.
you're all in the lab.
I thought we were outside because she's like in the membrane. Like, because we were all walking up towards the lab. She had gone ahead with my drone. We were
At
like,
least Ebenezer's with me.
I think I am with Adara and I see her in a bubble and she tried to stop me, but she couldn't even push to.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm following Ebenezer, so yeah. At least the 3 of us.
As I envision it, the corridor leads to a very large room with all kinds of scientific equipment. Adara is in a circle about 10 feet across in the center of the lab. So you guys can be moving around her. I assumed you all followed in.
Right. Quick question for the warden. While Adara will start blasting the instruments, do I sense that this bubble is organic in nature or is energy based?
Yeah,
you're not sure.
Devoka wanted to take out his bioscanner and give it a quick scan, but then something fell from the ceiling. So that was going to be his next thing. But now I think now that I've seen it and it's shocked me, I'm gonna try to scan the membrane to see what it's made of if I can.
The membrane itself seems to be, you're not sure if it's organic or not. It is composed of a very, very thin molecule of some sort. All different elements are in there, maybe titanium and some things you're not quite sure what they are. But the molecule itself you don't recognize. You think though from its crystal structure that it would be extremely tough. Like carbon fiber or carbon tubes or
Yeah.
something like that, because it's definitely only maybe one molecule thick.
But we wouldn't be able to pierce a knife through it. Okay.
But when you try, it just seems to get out of the way of the knife, or it seems to, it's like he's in plastic wrap.
Hmm.
Oh, that's as soon as Adara lights up, the machine gun comes off my back.
Okay. So Adara, you
Yeah.
point your gun up, you probably hunker down a little bit and you fire.
Mm-hmm.
Your I would like, let's see, what should we do? Let's do a combat
With
and
fire,
see,
I have my firearms. So.
yeah, and your firearm.
Um, I failed by 4,
Okay.
and it tells me to gain a
Oh, wait.
stress. So.
The shot leaves the end of your gun. It hits the roof with a big explosion of shot. Um, you're not sure that it did a damn thing to any of these medical instruments or to the wall. There's definitely the membrane around you sort of expands for a second, and the whole inside of the bubble is now filled with acrid smoke from the, I assume, gunpowder. Maybe it's not gunpowder anymore.
It's
Whatever the
probably
discharge is.
plasma
And
discharge.
all of the little shots rain down around you, and they're all probably red hot.
Yeah.
Um, but it doesn't seem to stop the machinery.
Butler.
They are moving menacingly towards you.
Is there
I open up on the upper end of the tube from the outside.
Okay. Um, you can go
is there
ahead and
anything
do it.
outside that looks like a panel, like a control panel or anything?
Well, it looks like, I mean, nothing like a human control panel, but there are things all around the room. You don't know if they're buttons or screens or what they are. Um, the whole place does seem to have lighted up, you know. Do you want to start feeling
Pushing.
around, punching things and
I'm trying to. I think I might be at a little bit of a panic mode where I would like maybe like seeing this thing not stopping, like start punching some buttons. Let's see if that does anything.
okay.
Probably.
Why don't we do an intelligence?
Mm,
What do you have? You have,
I have 51 intelligence.
do you have any other skills that might be
Botany,
applicable?
exobiology, military training,
Yeah,
pathology. I
probably
don't think any
not.
apply.
Right.
I'm kind
I
of
would like to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That is an
I
O2.
okay.
Or no two. Okay. By the way, doubles in this game are
Yeah.
extremes.
And I got a 12 out of, I think, 56 on my military training, so that's a success.
And
I don't know if I need to bother rolling damage for this.
Well, the what happens is your, what kind of gun are you firing?
Like a basically like squad automatic weapon machine gun, like a
Right.
heavy machine gun.
So you fire your machine gun. Are you firing it at the ceiling or are you firing it at the membrane up
The
near the ceiling?
membrane and the tube over Adara's head. Um, see what happens. If it tears, then I'm gonna yell at Adara to get down and do another burst a little like closer to her level is if she were standing out.
When you send out a burst of machine gun fire, of course, everybody it hurts your ears. So did the shotgun blast. Um, you find that the membrane itself sort of reacts. There's almost like a little bit of a glow, kind of a bluish glow where the bullets are hitting, but they are bouncing off. They're hitting the roof as well, and then with their energy sort of spent, they're just sort of raining down around you. They're not ricocheting where they might hurt somebody. They seem to have lost a great deal of energy when they hit the shield. But they're just bound. They're not doing much of anything that you can see.
You said there were other doors and pathways out of here.
Yes.
Can I like kind of look down one and see if I can see like a creature or anything? Maybe I could like get them to stop whatever's happening.
You look down one of the passageways, which are all kind of curving a little bit here and there. You can see that there are other rooms, and that some of those rooms have what look like windows, maybe into other parts. You can't see around corners, but you can definitely see there might be other things down there.
Mm-hmm. If I like just kind of run around the outside of the room, just checking to like what are our options out of here and like what maybe would they lead to? Like what can I see in that regard?
Okay. Well, you've got the passage leading back out the way you came, and
Mm-hmm.
you see these other passages sort of, you know, spiral down into the rocky area that you're in. Um, think of it as if you guys are in a sort of a seashell that goes winding down in different directions. Um, if you step down there a ways, you do see a room that's mostly circular and it's got windows all the way around it. When you look, you're pretty sure there are creatures in past the windows.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go
Can,
closer?
yeah, I'll run in there and just look and see what's through the window. Like, hey, stop.
Well, what you see is rooms with what at first seems like glass, but if you get close enough to examine it, it's that same sort of membrane. And on the other side of it, it's almost like there is a menagerie collection of various creatures you are thinking possibly from this planet. Um, but they look odd. Um, in one of them, you think that you see something very much like one of those large caterpillars, um, but it's got things growing out of it. And it seems to be alive, but it seems to have been mutated or something. Or maybe that's part of its life cycle, but everything in here seems to be mutated in some way. There's a monkey-like creature, but the monkey-like creature has antlers, and there's insect-like creatures, but they've got bat wings, or I'm using human reference, but it looks like something's been fucking with the nature. At that point, Adara, you've probably in fear hunkered down as close to the ground as you can get. I would like you to do a panic check.
Okay. It's D20, right? And I've got a roll above my.
Right.
Um, to be fair, the app should do it automatically for me. Just panic. Ah, 20.
Okay.
Success.
Uh, so you manage to not scream or act out of character, but a number of appendages have entered your bubble and they're attempting to grab you, probably to restrain you. You are managing to at least avoid them, but they seem to be more and more determined to restrain you. And there is that one that looks like a needle, pretty big, nasty looking needle, that is still trying to. How about the rest of you? What are you guys? I mean, if you're watching Adara, you're probably taking another stress.
Okay. I have not yet seen the creatures, right? Like Dale is kind of going somewhere
you probably
else.
hear
Like,
Dale go,
I
Jesus
have,
Christ.
because what I'm kind of
Good
doing right
Lord!
now is kind of what I'm doing is like I'm frantically looking around for any type of console or any type of like mechanical features that I might be able to like turn off or destroy or do something. And I think I see probably Dr. Deboku like just mashing on stuff, and I'm like, man, hold on, let's see if there's anything to turn off the needles.
So, Dr. Deboku, as you are touching things, for the most part, when you touch something that looks like a button or reacts like a button or glows when you touch it, you get kind of an odd alien sounding map, 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 and then nothing happens. Eldred, are you also?
Yeah, basically like I'm trying to decipher like if there's any like mechanics that I can pick from here. Like is there any type of like actual mechanical material that's involved in this?
It seems to be reacting to your touches, but if it's all encoded and needs certain sequences, you have no idea.
I wouldn't have any clue. I don't think that's a good idea, Doctor. We got to try and get her out of there, but it doesn't look like guns are helping. I don't know if mashing buttons is going to help get her out of there, though.
There has to be some kind of control for this somewhere. We don't know about the other room with the aliens yet because we didn't go down the hall, right?
Yeah.
Well, you've heard Grady.
Oh, that's right. We have our.
He's
I can run back. I can run back and be like, they're experimenting on stuff.
Oh, fuck.
And I'll like run up to Adara's bubble with a vibe shetty and be like, we got to get you out of here. Like
the things you saw, are they alive still?
I don't know. They looked alive. They was just horrible. Like something playing house, playing with dolls. It's horrible.
Oh my god.
Dale, if you use your vibe shetty, I can use mine from my side and we could try it.
But I don't know. Is this even working?
Butler, what are you going to try now? It doesn't seem possible to penetrate this shield.
I have grenades, but I can't really use it because I'm just going to blow myself up.
I think Dr. Deboku's gonna, as Grady comes in, he's gonna run out because he wants to see what these aliens look like.
Okay.
The arms that are reaching down, they're reaching down from the outside and then into the bubble?
They're inside the bubble.
Oh, they're inside the bubble.
Yeah. He's in a tube.
The bubble's flexible, right?
Extremely, yeah. Probably so that the specimen doesn't get hurt.
Yeah. Adara, crouch. And I'm going to try to, like, basically...
He's already crouched.
Bear hug that bubble and try to, like, close it off.
Okay, well, now it's 10 feet across. So you do find that if you put your hands, you can almost bring your hands together but it's harder
not
and
enough.
harder the closer you get, and then it pushes you back. Adara.
I take the helmet off, and I'm like, Adara, listen. The things they found or Dale found back there, they're all alive. So whatever happens, take a deep breath. We're gonna make sure you get through this, and we're gonna get you fixed up. Whatever happens.
On that note, she's going to do another panic roll because he's just made it worse.
Yeah.
Because that's not what he wanted to hit. That's not what she wanted to hit.
You can actually make that roll because one of the restraining grippers grabs one of your arms.
08. I failed. I now have to.
You are flailing because it's grabbed you and you don't want it to do anything to you.
Can we reach the mechanical arms at all?
No, they're inside the bubble.
Oh no.
Adara, while you are struggling, the one with the needle tactically works its way around you and then jabs you very quickly, say in the fatty part of your thigh. And then it immediately retracts. More lights and things start coming on all of a sudden. And you do start to get three-dimensional images in the air. You don't know where they're being projected from. But an alien language flashes. It's not laid out like an alphabet, but you're pretty sure it's probably an alien language. You see a 3D image that reminds you of like when you've seen an electron microscope that is focusing in and getting more and more magnification. You see the cells, you see the structure of the cells, you see the molecules, you see the DNA, and whatever it is, maybe it's a computer of some sort. It seems to be analyzing Adara's DNA. And you do hear a voice, that speaks in.
All of us outside are seeing it too.
Yeah, you can all see this. It's
okay.
The weird thing about the membrane is that it's crystal clear. It's just like ceramic.
I'm tapping my comm badge. Vera, connect to Central. Send out an emergency buoy.
Nobody's coming for us way out here. We got to get out of here.
But we got to let them know. We got to let them know that this shit's out here. And I'm booking it. I'm booking it out of there.
I'm in the with the aliens. I'm waving like this at them. And I'm going to take out my pad where I had taken all those results, which has our language. I'm trying to discern if they think that we're not sentient or something, and trying to point at all of my data, like we're like you. We have a language, and then the chemicals start showing, like the chemical molecules start showing, like we're like you, and trying to get them to stop and doing.
And you're doing this to
whoever is behind that membrane that's doing this. Yeah.
Those all seem to be experiments. They seem to be different animals that are all have been mutated. And
there's no one in there that looks intelligent that would recognize what I'm trying to do.
They all look like animals that you either have seen or haven't encountered or whatever from the planet itself.
If I may be able to also explore a little bit hastily, I'm wondering, may I be able to find something like a maintenance workshop? Of course, it wouldn't be called like that. What I'm trying to find out, rushing, and probably a speed check is inbound, but I'm looking for the same medical instruments or something very menacingly sharp, alien-looking that is detached and ready for me to pick up from a table from around the base.
Okay, So you're exploring and you're looking for that. You definitely find down one of the corridors the alien equivalent of an operation theater, and various instruments that are lying about on the perimeter. They're not necessarily on tables, but they're on things. Um, you also, as you are looking about, there is something at the far end of the room, laying on the floor, that looks like it's kind of in a heap. It's definitely not alive, whatever it is, but it looks like an animal or something that's just lying there on the ground. That's mostly decayed.
Right, right. I want to equip the sharpest tool I could find, and I want to return to the bubble with it.
Okay. There are definitely some really sharp instruments.
Something like a chainsaw, needle, syringe, probably spork tool, omni tool. I don't even need to know how it functions. I want to be with the tip already out, and I want to jam this thing to see if I may be able to beat fire with fire, essentially alien resistant technology with alien sharp technology.
There is definitely an instrument that, for all intents and purposes, looks perhaps like a scalpel. The edge of the blade seems to be made of kind of a blue sapphire. Uh, your your highly advanced imaging system can see that it's extremely sharp, like diamond sharp. Um, when you bring it to the membrane, I assume you're going to where Adara is.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You're going to where Adara is. When you bring it close to the membrane just sort of gets out of its way. It parts like you can put your hands into the membrane like a glove box, that they use in medical. But suddenly your hand is through a hole in the membrane, as long as you're holding the instrument. However, the medical instruments inside are still functioning automatically, and they keep trying to poke Adara and gather more information. Adara, I think you're still in
vibe.
Yeah, you're still in terror mode. Eldred, did you say you were going to run back outside?
Yeah, I'm trying to connect to Vera to contact central, some type of emergency.
Vera has acknowledged. She says,
Okay.
I'm contacting central. I'll keep you apprised of the situation. Well, she probably has been monitoring you, so she knows the situation. She knows what's going on, but at the same time, she doesn't have the authorization to decide for herself to make a phone call or a good call. So you've given her that. She is patching into central. Eldred, I'm encountering some resistance. They want to know who we are and why we're all the way out here. Are we a scientific team? Are we an unregistered scientific team?
No, but we found some crazy alien technology out here, and it's trying to kill us.
They're asking for our exact location. I'm transmitting our coordinates on the planet.
Okay.
and I am informing them of everything that's taken place. They are calling an emergency meeting.
Okay. All right. I'm going to hunker down because I'm terrified.
Okay, but you're outside?
Yeah, I'm like towards the entrance, yeah.
You're near the fresh, clean air and the beautiful sunlight and the beautiful forest all around, and horror is going on down the corridor.
Yes,
from where you are.
I'm terrified and I can't do anything.
You notice when you're standing there too, that those little red sparkly lights, they are trying once again to entice you to come on inside. Come on inside. We need your specimen. Come on, come on. And they're not saying that, but now you realize that it was a lure.
Yeah.
A lure for any animal that might actually get up here and come inside. Butler, you now have your arm inside with one of the medical instruments in your hand.
Ebenezer?
I'm sorry, yeah, Ebenezer.
Oh.
And you guys all notice that he's got a hole open.
Do you think you can get it open wide enough?
Yeah, let me try, and I will try to retract my arm to kind of scare this thing away, to enlarge the hole as much as possible.
The hole unfortunately seems to close as you retract your arm. But you do think that the medical instrument itself is what is opening the hole. It might work for all of the medical instruments.
Okay, then quick thinking. Hand back in the bubble, give a very scared Adara a weapon to defend herself. And
I have lots of weapons. They're not doing anything.
I mean, efficient weapons, that is. And then I'm going to run and, in fact, I'm going to ask Butler for his help as well. We need to bring as many tools as we can to this.
And I'll follow, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and Dale as well. So we are going to take the whole Operation Theater with us.
Ebenezer, am I to understand you are giving the knife to Adara?
Yeah.
Okay. The second you let it go, the membrane has a hold of you, and you can't pull your hand out.
Oh my God.
It's going where your hand is.
So then if I have the knife, then I'm going to just put it above where his arm is, so a hole should open. And
okay, in fact, it does. You're able to pull your arm out once it's open. So you're going to run and you're going to get more medical instruments.
Yeah, we'll all go to get, because it seems to be this is the way. If we can get it, maybe we can open a bigger hole and try to pull Adara out of there. I
tiny.
Make a little doorway or something.
Dr. Boku, are you in the lab where this is all taking place?
Oh no, actually that's right. I was
you can all communicate, but yeah.
With the animals, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm listening to them, so I'm gonna go meet them where Ebenezer went. I'm gonna go that way as well. Hopefully somebody else will grab as many of those alien weapons as we can, knives as we can.
Just before you leave the animal area, you notice that there is a kind of panel on the wall. It's got a circle in the center, and it's got a bunch of little lights all the way around it in a circle. And you notice that the lights in sequence light up, and they sort of go like this. And then they slow down, and then one light remains lit. There's a voice that says something, and you notice across from you in one of the animal chambers. Uh, it sort of lights up in there. The creature looks like like a spider and a a dolphin sort of fused together in some ways. It's got multiple eyes and black and white fur. And these medical instruments come down from the ceiling and very quickly jab the creature. You see some sort of alien-ish looking DNA equivalent. Uh, and then you see lights and things flickering around you as you are then leaving that room. Adara, you are in there with the knife, and these medical instruments once again are trying to restrain you, and another needle descends from the upper panel and jabs you in the leg.
Could I, as it's coming down, could I have tried to have swung it with the surgical
With the
tool?
knife? Sure.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you find that whatever the material is the same as the material that the medical instruments are made of, so it just clinks off.
Yeah.
The rest of you are running to get more of the medical instruments. All right. You run quickly to get more of the medical instruments. You find them lying around. You bring them back up. You also notice that thing lying on the floor that Ab actually found. One thing that you notice about it is it seems to be wearing some sort of textile, some sort of garment, perhaps. A closer look shows you that it is some sort of alien that doesn't look like anything from this planet. It has multiple arachnid sort of looking legs. However, because it's dressed in textiles, it definitely gives you the feeling that it was an intelligent creature that wore clothes. And perhaps this was the alien scientist. From the looks of him, he died centuries ago, maybe. But you bring back the instruments. You come running back, and you do find that the same effect. If you have it in your hand and you bring it close to the membrane, it allows your hand to go through. And I'd say with a little bit of intelligence and maneuvering, you can hold them in such a position that a hole large enough for one of you to reach in, grab Adara, maybe by the ankle, and pull her out of the membrane.
Yeah, I'm only a tiny woman.
I'd say your stress goes up again just for going through that.
That's fine.
Adara, you probably in fact feel such relief that you have been pulled out of that membrane. As soon as you have pulled Adara out of the membrane, you notice a bluish light that, like a laser, sort of scans the inside of the bubble, bzz, 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 like that. And then the bubble, with an audible sort of popping noise, is suddenly gone. The little red lights on the floor turn off. However, the computers now in this place, if that's what they are, continue. But Adara is free.
We got to get the heck out of here. Is that door still open, Eldred?
Yes.
Yeah. I've got the survey drone. I'm kind of like just looking at the hologram. Yeah. It's still open. Get the hell out of there.
with an arm under Adara's arm. We're trying to haul her up. How does her leg look? Is it like bleeding from being poked, or is?
Yeah, I'm sure it bleeds a little bit. Her wrist is, or her ankle, or whatever the thing had grabbed is probably a little damaged from the metal. But other than that, she seems okay.
You don't need to grab onto me. I'm fine. It's just a bit sore. I was more panicked that I was going to get my insides dissected or whatever.
And then, uh, 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 an alien voice comes over. The equivalent of red lights begin flashing everywhere. And Eldred, where you're standing, that stone door is starting to come up out of the ground. What do you guys do? Panic roll.
Move! Move!
Panic and then speed roll?
Pick up Adara, get her on her feet, and start clomping full tilt towards the door.
I succeeded barely on my panic.
Oh, it doesn't render. That's a 12. I'm barely fine.
That was a success.
Yep. Sorry.
Does anybody feel their panic?
Is failing your panic roll under your stress amount?
Correct.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah, you got to succeed, you got to roll over your stress.
Oh, over my stress? Okay. Well, it's panic time then.
Okay.
Mine says gain a stress, and then all nearby crew members gain 2 stress.
Oh, yeah, because it does give some. Okay, I'm up back.
Oh, there it is, D20. Okay.
Yeah, it's a D20.
Yeah, it's a D20.
Okay. Yeah, on page 21 of the player one sheet. Deflated. Gain a new condition. Whenever a crew member fails a save, gain 1 stress.
That's not so bad, huh? Who else failed? Sure, 1D20 gets you.
Let's see. A 6.
Let's see, 6. Okay, you are frightened. I think you're all frightened. Anyways, let's have you who are inside do a speed roll. See how quickly you can run to get to the door. And you're all kind of shoving each other. Hopefully you don't knock each other over.
I have my athletics to help me as well.
If I pass with the disadvantage, may I also pickpocket the
can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I can't hear Ebenezer. Say something.
Hello?
I can hear you.
Sound. Hold on. Just 1 second.
Yeah.
Time are we at?
We can hear him, Thom.
23. Second, my sound went out.
Yeah, planning, guys. I want to pickpocket the evil alien scientist on the way out, but I don't think I will be able to.
Yeah. You'd have to go back and into that operating room or whatever.
Yeah.
Hope I didn't show you my ass. Okay. All right. So I'm sorry. So do a speed roll. Did we already do that one?
Yeah. I failed.
Got a 09 over 35.
I succeeded. 17.
Butler?
I got really lucky and got a 7 and a 29 off my penalized one, so that still makes my 31.
Right. So Eldred, you are easily able to get into the ship, into Vera. The rest of them come scrambling down the hallway. Grady trips. The others get past the door as it's about halfway up. You almost have to climb over it. They get outside. Unfortunately, Grady, it's too closed, and it closes with you trapped inside.
Yet.
And then, Grady, you hear what sounds almost like a high-pitched buzz, and there seems to be a wall of blue-white energy that is moving through the laboratory towards the passage you're in, and then it starts to move up the passageway towards the door.
And I'm on the ground, like scrambling back to try to get to the door, like.
And the last thing you feel is a burning sensation in your feet as it hits your feet, and then it sterilizes the inside of the chamber. Unfortunately, Grady, here you are vaporized.
I am vaporized.
You guys outside the stone door, you faintly hear Grady go, "Ah!" And that's it.
Mama, I'm coming home.
The little circle of light on the door sort of does a funny little back and forth, and then it blinks brightly, and then it goes back to its regular pulsing. You guys scramble into Vera. She says the Science Council at Central will be sending out a rescue vessel tomorrow at 8 a.m. And they've inquired how many rescue vessels we need. I told them we just need one.
Well, it sounds like poor Grady didn't make it, so maybe we should just cancel that. I was hoping we can all make it out of there.
Yeah, I don't know what use a rescue vessel would be at this point.
It's not going to help anyone. You can cancel it.
Poor Dale. Gone but not forgotten.
Dale, excuse me, Dale.
And as you guys are sitting there in Vera, she's like, "Do you want me to take you back to camp?"
Let's move to another location. I want to get away from this place.
Well, we do need to get our supplies. We can't just leave them there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Let's pack up and get out of here before the Science Council gets here tomorrow.
So go back to our original camp, get our things, go.
Yeah, I think if we try to stake this as a claim, we're just going to end up mysteriously dying anyways. When some corporation finds out about it.
Vera, your hovercraft, she rises up to the treetop level. You slowly skim quietly over the tops of the green trees, the vast forest, back down towards the grassy hills with the distant ocean and your camp. And suddenly Adara begins screaming as large insect-like legs begin to break through the skin on her back.
Didn't even think to check
her forehead begins to split open, and multiple eyes begin to appear, and her mouth, she begins to get mandibles that are coming out of her mouth. What do you guys do?
Are we landed yet? We're still...
No, you're still up in the air, moving along at a.
I roll combat to attack them all. Okay.
Or we can just end it there in the horror of the last moment. Maybe you push her over the side.
Yeah, I imagine
I'll try to push her.
Yeah, Butler tries to interpose himself between her and the rest of the group, and then asks like, "Adara, are you still with us?"
Can I do an opposed combat roll against? Because
You can do an intellect roll. However, it is going to end with you mutated into some horrible.
That's fine. I just want to kill them all now.
So,
Okay, yeah.
Realization.
Start swinging your legs.
My best friend is a sociopathic android. I can deal with a bug person.
I surprisingly got 33 on an intellect roll, but which is a success.
That's a critical success.
It is.
Your intelligence remains in your mind, at least for a while, but eventually, where your brain begins to migrate to other parts of your body, and you begin to mutate into a horrible thing. And that's the end of our story for now. You guys survived, so
well, maybe.
Maybe
they
yeah.
did. Maybe they did. I might have eaten them.
For certain values have survived.
Sometimes that is better.
So in doing my roles, this game was more loosely based on what I rolled. But the first thing I rolled was under transgression, I rolled opening a grave. And in a way, it was kind of a grave. The scientists had been dead there for a long time. And then I rolled for omens, a distress signal, but I turned that into sort of,
allure.
The allure. Then I rolled 49 under manifestations, mutated beings. Then I rolled a 96 under banishment. And I rolled trapping it. But I turned it around so that it was you that was trapped instead of the creature. And then 22 for slumber. I can't even read my own writing. What is 22? Retreats into hiding. I wasn't quite sure what that meant, but it made some sense. And then, of course, I rolled 89 for the theme, which is capitalism and greed. And this is what came out of that. We've all kind of agreed that we really like the random generating of the game. You never know what you're going to get. When you were in the lab, I literally put in a wheel of fortune, which was all of the specimens they had, its little lights, and then the thing spun the wheel and it landed on one of them, and then it picked that spider thing, and then it mixed it with Adara's, and then stuck her with.
Yes, of course it had to be the spider on
Of course.
me, Thom.
It's always a spider for you.
Figure out what that was, that wheel, and because it sort of, I thought it was coming up again at the end when we saw the lights turn back on, and it did the cycle with the lights again, and I was like,
resetting. At the end, the door was resetting.
Yeah, that's awesome. I first thought that it's going to release one of these creatures on us, just randomly, or even release all the experiments on us.
Well, and once you got Adara out of the shield, it registered that one of its specimens had gotten out, and so it decided to sterilize the lab, because the aliens probably didn't want to infect the planet. They just wanted to study it and study all of the combinations that you can make with whatever its DNA.
Passive way to do that. Passive research.
Yeah. The computer had continued doing it.
I'd like to think Spidara probably killed at least 2 of you.
Well, hopefully she didn't get loose and start infecting other creatures with.
It's important in it or anything like that,
or that the animals out here would eat her dead body and start mutating themselves into something. Anyway, our players included Josh Harwood, Joe Bardalis, Troy Wheeldryer, Luke Strom, Grady Williams, and Victor Grau, with yours truly as the game warden. We have a Discord server where you can chat with other members. You can set up private games, and you can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Spotify, Podbean, or iTunes. Support for the show is provided by our patrons who are listed in the closing credits. If you'd like to show us your appreciation, please visit our Patreon page, or you can use the thanks button just below the screen. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answer any questions you might have. This is Thom Raley, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the strange and sometimes terrifying universe of the Mothership role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.